Also want to know if you think, Righty, that the Premier League is the best league in the world.
I don't know. Last season, when you look at Man United's team and people were saying that it wasn't the greatest, and they literally, at a canter, they won it, 11 points and that. You think the rest of the teams didn't quite step up. Yeah. And this season, if we're going to be totally honest, what, we're 3-4 games in, no one looks like they want to do it. No one looks like, oh, they look really good, or City look really good, or Chelsea look really good. It's just very mediocre at the moment.
Well, the best players aren't currently playing in the Premier League. I mean, if you look at the top 5 players in the world: Messi, Ronaldo, Iniesta, Zlatan,
Bale.
and who's the other one? Falcao, maybe. None of those players are playing in the Premier League. So when people ask about is this league or that league the best league in the world, it's a bit of an abstract question, really. Anyway, I mean, how do you answer that? Is you talk about the best football, the best players,
most exciting?
Wait, but do you watch the other leagues as much as you watch the Premier League? Probably not. So it's difficult to say, isn't it? It's certainly the richest league, and it's certainly the fastest league. But other people may like other things in their football, like technical ability and tactics and things like that. So it's difficult to say. For me, I mean, you got to look at German football as being the most. Yeah, but
after you look at Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund, yes, Schalke, Leverkusen might do a bit, but in the main, I watch the German football. I'm not having it. It's just like all of a sudden you've got Bayern Munich at the moment who are doing really well. Borussia Dortmund, they were in the final, but when you look at the old league, and it's that I'm not.
I mean, half the teams in the Premier League are dreadful.
But still, you can still get a great game between Southampton and Norwich. You can't do that in Spain.
I think you can still get.
Of course, Southampton and Norwich are not in Spain.
It'd be very difficult.
But I'm talking about the two.
Difficult for the fans. That
the two teams that you could compare the same in Spain. It was just like some boring passing about. At least they're going for it. It's more exciting. I'm saying.
Okay. You couldn't legitimately say someone like Stoke under Pulis are going for it. I mean, there are examples of the Premier League of teams that absolutely stink the place out every week. You got to admit that. There are, aren't there?
No, you say who do?
Stoke under Pulis all the time.
But surely that's actually more to do with the fact that Stoke's objective isn't to play amazing football. It was actually to stay in the Premier League, earn those revenues, because the Premier League's such a.
Okay. I just want to. Sorry, Jonathan. I just want to introduce everyone to Sanjit. Sanjit is from Squawka. Everybody. Sanjit from Squawka. And of course, Jonathan, you're back as well. Thank you, Jonathan, for coming and joining us. Right, Sanjit, sorry about that.
Making a very good point.
I thought it was just polite that people know who you were, Sanjit. Talk to us about the Premier League compared to other leagues.
Well, it's very, very interesting looking at the FIFA World Player of the Year and where that player has come from over the last few years. It's not really since 2008 that the Premier League has had the World Player of the Year. At the time, Cristiano Ronaldo. And since then, it's all been about Spain. And it's really, really interesting that someone like Bell would say, yeah, Spain is where I want to go and further my career. If you look at a lot of the young prospects around Europe, where are they moving to? Yes, some are coming to England, there's no doubt about it. However, I think there's a lot of money involved.
Yeah.
If you look at Gaston Ramirez when he came to Southampton, was that, you seriously telling me that was a footballing choice? There was cash there, and that was something that swayed his head. Really good example right now, Toby Alderweireld from Ajax. Liverpool very heavily linked with him. They've ended up with Jabalori instead, which is a very good signing. Alderweireld was a really, really hot prospect. He's now gone to Atletico Madrid instead. That's not even a Barca or Real Madrid, so Liverpool can even compete there. So it's a little bit of an issue, I think, for young football fans growing up in this country, looking at their teams and looking at how well they're doing in Europe, who are the big stars in the world. When the World Cup comes along, who am I going to be really cheering for? If England weren't there, who would you be cheering for? It'd be probably the stars from Spain, the stars from South America and Brazil.
Well, Sanjay, you see, when you say about the money, it's got a lot to do. So when you look at Edison Cavani and Falcao, Radamel Falcao, they've gone to Monaco and PSG. That's for money. You're going to tell me
absolutely.
That I thought that they were going to end up at City and Chelsea personally, but they've chosen that. Would you say they've chosen the French league over the Premiership?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We at Squawk heard a rumour very, very early on that Falcao was going to be picking Monaco over everyone. There are certain issues with that. There's issues with those two clubs that you mentioned, Paris Saint-Germain and Monaco, in the way that they do their dealings. Particularly with Monaco, a lot of tax issues they're going through at the moment, and the rest of the league is really struggling to understand why they should be allowed in Liga because of their tax structure. The fact that they can offer tax-free wages and the rest of the league can't. Should they be allowed in the same league? It doesn't really seem fair. PSG, on the other hand, have gone through what a Chelsea or a Man City have gone through with a big takeover from Middle Eastern owners. So it's obviously Chelsea with Russian owners. Lots of money coming through, and some would argue the strategy for the owners there is more about the Qatari World Cup than it actually is about Paris Saint-Germain.
Jonathan, why is it that if we're the richest league, that we're not paying the kind of prices that the Spanish
not being able to attract those players?
Yeah, and attract those players.
I think that's quite similar. It's because we, our TV rights are done as a cartel. The whole league operates together.
Right.
But, although you will get more money if you finish first than if you finish second, if you finish third, and so on down the league. You still get way more being 20th in the Premier League than you would do even being, say, 6th in Spain. In Spain, the clubs negotiate individually, so Real Madrid, Barcelona, they have individual TV deals. That takes them stratospherically ahead of everybody else in the league. I actually think this season, it depends what you want. I mean, if you want the best individuals, then maybe the Premier League isn't the best league in the world. If you want the most competitive league, then in terms of leagues where there is a certain level of quality there, the Premier League is way more competitive. You've got 6 teams, maybe being slightly generous to Liverpool there, but they are top at the moment.
Yeah.
6 teams who can conceivably win the league. Now, there's no other. Name me another league in Europe where there's 3 teams.
Yeah.
There isn't any.
What it is, it's not really a sway between different European leagues. It's a sway between the bigger teams and the smaller teams within those leagues. So Jonathan's right, and I would go a bit further than that. I would say there are probably 4 teams that could win the Premier League this season, personally.
Who's the 5th one?
Well, you've got Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, City and Man United. They're the 5. But
You said 4?
Yeah, but I wouldn't imagine Spurs would win it as well.
Okay, so you're saying Spurs are
the top
5th?
4. Yeah, the 5th team. And you've got, in Spain, there's no chance any other
Thanks
team.
for that, by the way.
Yeah.
So I've got a sympathy.
In Spain, there's no chance any other team could win it. I mean, in France, you're looking at PSG and Monaco, presumably.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other team really.
Even in Germany, I mean, we talk about
Germany,
Bayern and
yeah.
Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund last season was slightly freakish that they did so well in Europe.
Yeah.
If you look at their wage bill last season was slightly less than half.
But Jonathan, Bayern
Munich
Munich have always dominated German football.
Of course they
To a
have.
massive
Well,
extent.
this is a great myth of German competitiveness.
But
Everyone says, over a decade-long period, over the last decade, there's 5 different teams who won the German league. Yeah, but the reason is you've got one big team, Bayern, and if they don't fire, then sure, there's a lot of other teams.
But actually, I think the competitive issue's a little bit. It's hard to compare when you're just looking at that one league. It's really about, can we take a mid-table club from the Bundesliga and how would they do against a mid-table club in
No, that's a different issue. I'm saying about
Premier
teams who
League.
can win the league to keep it interesting through the season.
But does
I
that
would
keep it
rather have
interesting?
that.
But why does that keep it interesting?
Because you don't know who's going to win it.
But surely you want to watch games on a week-by-week basis, the most
And you want to see quality
competitive football
football.
games you
You
want
want to see quality football.
Oh, well, yeah, I want to watch competitive games, which is what you get in the Premier League because there's so many different teams can win it. My problem is if you look at Spain, and how often last season, well, I know the answer to this, Barcelona won 8 games last season by 4 goals or more. Real Madrid last season won 8 games by 4 goals or more.
Yeah.
Previous season it was 12 and 13.
Yeah, okay.
Now, that's not watchable, that's just tedious. You might as well be watching a kid doing tricks in a street corner, that's what you want to watch.
But if you want competitive football, actually the most competitive league I can see right now isn't one of the European leagues. Actually, go look at Major League Soccer. It's not the best football, but it is competitive. You will have a different team winning all the time. And actually, the way that
Which is why I posed it by saying a certain level of quality.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's right. The way that Don Garber, Commissioner of MLS, has structured that league, and all those teams have done it with the franchise system, draft system. It works brilliantly, and they're getting better. The teams are getting better. Granted, their average pass completion is like 79% less for last season, which is nowhere near the European leagues. But it's still a good blueprint on how you build a competitive league and you build for the future as well. Financially, they're super secure.
But I mean, that is a totally, a franchise model. It's totally different to the organic model we have in Europe. If you want an organic model that's very competitive, you'd say Argentina, but the level is also terrible because there's no money there at all.
Absolutely.
As soon as a team
Can I
wins the
ask
league,
you,
sorry.
Chris, just below the headlines, the Bales, etc., the Ozils, etc., who do you think has made the best buy so far?
But in Europe,
Yeah.
I think the Kaká transfer is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Kaká is a player with, obviously, it's a fine player on his day. He's an amazing ability, and
Yeah.
the ability alone, a chance to be one of the very best players around, and he's proved that in the past. He's had a terrible time of it at Real Madrid with injuries and under Jose Mourinho. He's gone back to Milan. I think it's been reported that was a free transfer.
Free transfer.
Yeah,
to
it was,
Milan.
yeah.
And he's taken a massive cut in wages back.
Just to play
He loves the
football, and that's
He
where
didn't
he's,
want to go, did he?
that's where he's enjoyed his best years, and he realised that he needed to go there and play. I think, and Milan have sold players to free up the money they need to pay him and to get him into the team. I think if he can stay fit and he can play, because he was linked to the Premier League, and I don't think the Premier League's the best.
He wouldn't have been. I don't think he would have been.
Back in Serie A, he could really put himself back on the map again. He's still young enough to have an impression, I think. That's
he
a really
wants to be at that
interesting
World
side.
Cup. This is World Cup year.
Yeah,
Let's not
absolutely.
forget. There are players out there that are hungry enough to take that wage cut and to go.
Is
and
he
win
likely to get into the
themselves.
Brazil squad? If he got a good season? No, okay, right.
I think he's just too slow. I mean, if he has an exceptional season, then maybe. But I think the way Scolari sets that team up, he needs dynamic players, and Kakashi doesn't have a place anymore.
Yeah, okay.